bias or lack of openness from many venture capitalists as regards women entrepreneurs? Because I gather you would have heard some stories from some of your members.
Well, I think that, so I happen to know that most of us, men and women, have unconscious bias. That we have pictures about what is successful. I mean, one of the most insightful findings from our study, we did a study on mid-career technical women, is that both men and women saw some of the women, their women bosses, as less technical. And that's just one example of ways that we all see the people around us through our own lenses, and you better believe it's unconscious. And so I do think that venture, I mean, once again, what they're interested in is success. And so if you can paint a picture for them that you will be successful with credible data, there are certainly many venture people, men and women, who will invest in you. But because they see so few women, it does mean that there is these unconscious biases where they will often be less open to investing in women, only because it's less common for them. And so it doesn't feel as comfortable.
Okay.
And also I would say that that a lot of funding comes through networks. And if they have networks that are primarily men, the women are less likely to be in those networks.
Okay. That's really interesting information about the unconscious bias and the lack of openness. Knowing that, as you've found out through your research, what do you think are the antidotes for that then?
Well, so there we go. I mean, looking at myself, I certainly am aware of when I react to something. And people, I put them in a category. And so for me, the first step is just recognizing that I'm doing that and ensuring that it's not part of my ultimate decision-making process. For women who are pitching to a venture person, what you really do need to understand is that is there. And that you want to fit into a mold that they understand.
Okay, so part of the solution you see is actually trying to be like the boys in a way, until you actually engage the venture capitalist on your own terms.
I do think, and it's, I think that if they're used to seeing people talk about ROI, you need to understand that that's what they want to hear. So a lot of it is learning the language that they expect to hear from you. And it's interesting because it is all too often what might be a male game.
I was just going to say, it sounds like a game, doesn't it?
It does. Well, in many ways it is a game. And the other thing is that I think that many women don't realize that they also have their own networks. So understand that there might be opportunities for you as a woman that are not open to other men. I know that there are some funds that are specifically looking to invest in women entrepreneurs. And so this is an opportunity.
Yes. I know Astia does a lot of great work.
They do that.
With women, have you found that some successful women deny that there are challenges or obstacles for women entrepreneurs? If they've achieved success, they don't want to note that there's anything broken in the system or that there ever was a glass ceiling. I ask this question because I've actually heard from both women CEOs and women venture capitalists that some take this position, and that was an eye-opener for me, being quite naive and not really understanding the whole vision of it all.
Well, so this is really an interesting point. So, because for each of us, if you are ambitious and you really want to be successful, if you are successful, at your heart of hearts, you want to believe that you succeeded on your own merits. And so recognizing that there might be biases in the system is something that's just not, most of us don't want that to be true. And certainly for me, I have felt that. I mean, I want to succeed on my own merits. And as I've learned more about the research and understood a little bit more about the playing field, it's been an eye-opening experience for me.
Okay.
I'm reminded of a time when I was talking to a group of very successful senior technical women at a company, and they had never gathered before. They were very uncomfortable coming together as a group of women because, once again, more than anything else, they wanted to have succeeded on their own merits. And so every one of them started the conversation by saying, well, I succeeded. I think that every woman that comes after me should do it the same way. But then as the evening went on and you started to take away the layers, all of them had stories. Every single one of them talked about the time that a manager said something inappropriate to them, or the time when they were not recognized when the male counterpart said the exact same thing and was called on. And so it was it's this interesting dichotomy that we face in recognizing, once again, if you're an entrepreneur, that this is part of the playing field, and that knowledge of this can help you to be successful.
This is such an interesting point for me personally, because I think I must be very contrary. Because I can hear what you're saying, but in fact, if I know that something's harder to do, I would be more interested in trying to do it against all odds, so to speak. But also, then I would feel that I had achieved it on my own merits, because it was more difficult to do than if I was a man. And so I know I'm a bit contrary, because some people say that to me, but so that's why it's harder for me to understand that some women would see that that when they do accomplish these goals, that of course they're doing it on their own merits, because there's no way else they could have done it.
Right.
Well, am I making sense?
Yes, yes. I think that for each of us, understanding that there is, of course, our own merits,
right,
but that we all live within a system,
right,
and that there are system factors
right,
that contribute to the net result,
right,
and that for most women who succeed,
right,
they've had to be quite a bit better than their male counterparts.
Got it.
I mean, it's really, and once again, there's a lot of studies that back this up.
And would they acknowledge that they've had to be quite a bit better, or would they just see that that was just part of the dynamic? These are the women we're talking about who initially won't acknowledge that there is such a glass ceiling, or that there are problems.
So for most women, I don't think that they know this.
Okay,
I don't
so
think
they just up the ante and they do everything 10 times better, and they succeed, and then they just say, well, everyone else should do the same thing.
And I think so I'll tell you one example.
Yes.
There's a venture person who had been quite a successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I think she had some ambivalence about being called out as a woman investor. But then she sent this business plan as part of one of the business schools, I don't remember which one, and one went in with the name Howard and one went in with the name Heidi, the same exact plan to 2 different sessions of this class.
Interesting.
And across the board, the one that had Howard as part of the name was rated higher than the one that had Heidi.
Okay.
So I think that that's a simple example of something that we don't understand. And if you were the Heidi that was really taking that business plan forward,
right,
you probably still could be successful and not realize that
what you're working against.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. What is your advice for women entrepreneurs sourcing venture capital from your experience, both as an entrepreneur and within the organisation that you're working in?
So what I would encourage any entrepreneur is to understand their passion. What is this product? What is this idea that you are trying to create? If you can really understand it, the next step is to articulate it. The next thing I would say is believe in yourself. More than anything else, understanding that you have the capacity to create this vision.
Yes.
We'll make it so.
Okay. So you feel that as long as you're armed with those few things, that you can make a go of it?
Well, I mean, from a practical standpoint, you should seek a lot of advice about what are the elements of a business plan. I mean, I think that there's a lot of pragmatic stuff, but the passion and the belief in yourself will take you through.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you.